One thing you'll often find an application for with Prolog is modifying the database after the file has been consulted. So if you have some sort of an application, let's say it's an automated driving system where as you're driving, you're learning new information, you want to be able to incorporate that into your Prolog queries. So the functionality exists to do that. We can add and remove information from the database using the assert and retract capabilities of Prolog. So here's a short set of facts for who the Avengers are. And if I consult that file, I can get a list of who the Avengers are. I could also use a find all here. And so here's my list of all the Avengers. But suppose I want to add additional Avengers here. I can do that using assert. Now, if I just say assert, and I'm going to use assert A adds at the beginning of the database, assert Z adds at the end of the database. So now I'm going to assert that Scarlet Witch is an Avenger, and you'll see that I have no permission to modify static procedure Avenger. That's because that particular fact has already been compiled, and Prolog's not letting me update it. It's saying it's a static procedure. I want to specify that it's dynamic. So to do that, in my code, I specify that Avenger 1 is dynamic. So now let's consult again. And I have a syntax error. Forgot a period. Now if I assert that Scarlet Witch is an Avenger, I see that that's true. And if I call my find all statement, you can see that now she's the first one we catch. And I can add additional Avengers if I want. And let's use assert Z. That adds the fact to the end of the database. So if I do a query where I just ask who are all the Avengers, Vision is first because I just added Vision to the beginning of the database, then Scarlet Witch. Now we have all the ones from the file that I loaded. And then there's Falcon because I asserted Z. I added that fact to the end of the database. And whether you want to add to the beginning or the end is really just a design decision depending on what it is you're trying to do. So if you want to make the new information more difficult to find, you would put it at the end. If you want to make it to where it takes priority over the existing information, you would use assert A to put it at the beginning. Now there's nothing stopping me from asserting rules. I can say assert, let's say positive number, and I'll do that if x is greater than 0. Now notice that this is in a double parentheses. And that rule acts the way I would expect it to. I can also retract facts. So remember, here are my Avengers. And let's say I want to get rid of Iron Man. Then I retract all Avenger. And let's use find all to get all the Avengers again. And you'll notice no Iron Man because I've retracted that. And if I retract Hulk, now you see Hulk is missing from the list of Avengers. And then I can go through and add or remove individual facts as I want, as long as I have that defined as a dynamic fact. Now, I can use this assert and retract to create a guessing game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow the game to be created with a parameter. And once that's set up, it's going to remove all the secret number facts that it knows about. And then it's going to assert a new secret num fact. So whenever I say new game, that removes any existing facts I have for a secret number. Once it removes those, then it asserts a new fact, secret num, with what the game was initialized with. So let's see how that works. So now I'm setting up new game, and let's make our number 5. So now I can guess. And now I've guessed the number. So that's just a really quick introduction to retract and assert in Prolog. Again, you don't want to get too focused on using this all the time. These are tools at your disposal. However, you don't have to use them. And typically, for most of the assignments you'll do in this class, you won't need them. The one exception is you'll notice the polynomial example on the project does ask you to assert a polynomial rule.